Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ango Show. It is April 8th, 2025. I'm your boy Ango, and today I'm joined by Billy TKO. Shout out to Billy. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to talk a little bit about WWE Raw. Maybe I'm just a little too relaxed right now. I don't know what it is, but...
Yeah, bro, you sound like you're chilling.
I'm just chilling. You know what it is? I'm using the handheld today, and I'm just kind of like laying back, relaxing.
Big vibing and thriving.
Yeah, you know, and it was kind of nice because last night WWE Raw was a great episode. You know, within 24 hours, we went from a travesty, a dynasty, to
a very easy show to flow through.
Yeah, nice pace, nice booking decisions. I mean, there was a couple things I didn't like, but for the most part, I felt like it was relatively...
It did its job.
Yeah, it was a very, very nice and easy Raw to watch.
For sure.
And, you know, we're on the road to WrestleMania, and obviously Raw ended in such a big way last night, which was cool. So we'll definitely talk about that.
Yep.
Shout out to the chat, man. Shout out to the chat. Everybody coming
What's
through.
Up, chat?
We hit the big 80,000 subscribers yesterday.
Big congrats to you, brother. It's a big deal.
Man. Yeah, it was funny because we were talking about it earlier, and it's just like, I'm excited about it, you know, but I definitely want to be, I want to hit 100,000. Like, I want that silver plaque, and I'm just ready.
I think you worked hard enough for the plaque. I think we can all agree there.
The grind doesn't stop, my boy. We're going to keep going and keep hustling. And, you know, the thing is, like, 100,000 subscribers is a very big goal of mine, obviously. So if you guys haven't subscribed, I would really, really appreciate if you guys did subscribe. But yeah, 80,000, man. And just like, it's kind of crazy. You know, this past week has been really awesome. YouTube is YouTube. YouTube is going to be up and down forever, you know, but it's really nice. Like, it's really nice being able to just sit back, relax, and enjoy and watch wrestling and talk about it. And there's obviously a lot to talk about, man. It's for
sure. For sure.
Shout out to the chat, man. If you're not subscribed, click subscribe. If you're not subscribed to Billy, subscribe to Billy at Billy TKO. Me and Billy are also doing our thing on TikTok.
TikTok is the place. I'm on TikTok live right now. I'm chat there. I see my chat moving. Hey, y'all.
Shout out to Billy. Shout out to those watching on TikTok. I can't live stream on TikTok.
So I just kind of have my phone set up, and I do it just for people to tune in. I kind of try to push them to come over here and come hang out over on YouTube. So I got the YouTube in the bio so they can come hang out with us, enjoy the Ango show, and enjoy what we're talking about over here, because I guarantee you guys over on TikTok don't want to miss it.
Yeah, you know, it sucks too because we were live streaming on TikTok and then we got banned from live streaming on TikTok.
Both of us.
It's like a weird thing though. I don't think it's because of us personally, but
no, I don't either.
We are both making content on TikTok that you won't be able to see on YouTube. So we do highly encourage you guys to check us out there. Again, Billy TKO and then Ango PW on TikTok. Just a great episode of Raw. And I'm really excited to talk about Raw. You know, this thing about Raw on Netflix just has such an easy flow and easy pace that I feel like, one, I'm glad we're back to like Eastern time zone, you know, 8 p.m.
Yeah, oh man, it just felt normal. I was able to move through my day correctly. It was nice.
Yeah, and then it was kind of cool just like being able to, I don't know how you watch Raw, but for me, like, I'm always just chilling in bed, pillows propped up, it's laid back, relaxed, got my phone
you're
right
big
there.
Chilling. You're big chilling.
Yeah, well, dude, I mean, you'll learn this as you get a couple more years on you, but as you get older, man, sometimes it's just nice to sit back, relax, and chill and watch a TV show that you genuinely like.
Well, the funny fact, Ango, is you know how I watch Raw.
Yeah. You watch it live on YouTube.
Come on now. I'll be in the chair live on YouTube. Pull up to the watch-alongs, man. They're doing well, bro.
Yeah. It's great, man. I don't know how the hell you do it because I just love the comfort of my bed. Maybe I put like a camera. Maybe I put a camera like on the top corner of my wall while I'm laying down and watching it.
Not to get too sidetracked, but I thought about that. I was like, what if I just like put my camera like by my recliner and just plop back on my recliner and just did it from there, plugged in the mic, held it, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, how funny would that be? And then I was like, would people tune into that and see me kicked back? So there was that. I don't know. I'm doing a live watch along with my girlfriend for WrestleMania, and that was actually an idea that ran through my mind of like setting up by the couch or something like that, so she can feel comfortable too while doing it.
For sure. Well, dude, I don't know what it is, but I hate sitting at my desk.
Yeah,
watching TV. I really do.
Oh man, it's just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But we pulled through. We pushed through. It is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to waste any more time. I think we should talk about Raw. Shout out to Keith B for becoming a member. What is the stuck in the mid card, which is really cool. So shout out to Keith. I think you upgraded your membership, if I remember correctly, from the job squad to the stuck in the mid card. So shout out to Keith. And shout out to Toledo Channel, actually, already kicking us off with a super chat.
Let's
Robin
go.
Plays Game super chatted $10.
Give me 1 second.
What's up, Billy and Ango? I thought Raw was a decent episode yesterday, not one of my favorite episodes, but definitely not the worst. Now I'm
TikTok
gonna eat
chat,
my
I see you.
watermelon.
Come pull up to
Hashtag
YouTube.
acknowledge
We're live on
index
YouTube. Look
pointing
up Billy
emoji,
TKO
winking
or
face
Ango.
emoji,
Come check us
saluting
out. We're
face
live
emoji.
right now on YouTube. So I see you guys want to talk about it. Come talk about it. The chats are moving over here on YouTube.
Yes, sir. And we got 2 super chats to kick us off. Robin Plays Games dropping $10. He says, what's up, Billy and Ango? I thought Raw was a decent episode yesterday. Not one of my favorite episodes, but definitely not the worst. Now I'm going to eat my watermelon. Hashtag I acknowledge Billy. So Robin, shout out to Robin. You guys already sent those super chats before I could even enable the chat in the stream. So I will be able to put them on the stream eventually today. But yeah, honestly, I thought Raw was just a solid show. It didn't have to be anything crazy. It was a very easy show to watch. All the stories are being progressed. One thing that I absolutely loved was the 6-man tag match. Holy shit.
Yes.
Joaquin
really
Wild.
good.
Joaquin Wild had, again, he just does some crazy ass spots.
For sure.
Keith B super chatted $5. Now that
And then, give me 1 second. More super chats. Sorry about that. So yeah, no, honestly, I think shout out to Robin. I miss you, Robin. Hopefully we could game soon too, buddy. But yeah, I feel like it was such an easy show. It was such an easy show to watch, man. And I was so glad too. Like, Billy, me and you have been talking about the Paul Heyman Seth Rollins thing for 2 months now. And now it's really spreading like wildfire, and I definitely want to talk about that too. But just such an easy watch, bro. And I don't know, like I feel like this past weekend, it's so funny when you watch our show, and honestly, when you watch our show, like how we talk about wrestling, we always make it a point to just fantasy book ideas and talk about different directions these shows can go. And I dude, I think that's my favorite part about what we do. It's like we don't have to break down everything individually, but let's talk about these things and these different elements to the show and how they can probably go somewhere unique. And honestly, dude, I watched Raw last night and I can't wait to talk about this more, but fudge yes, dude. Fudge yes. I think we're onto something, bro.
So it's so funny because like I told you, I texted it to you, but I had somebody like come into the chat yesterday in my live watch along talking about how he found me through our show. And that he appreciated what we did because it wasn't just your everyday review show. So, yes, we come on here and we do review some of the things that take place. We tried to pinpoint the really important parts and really make that the center of the conversation because obviously those are the big talking points that you guys want to discuss anyways. I mean, we could sit here and try and break it down match for match, you know, talking about all of those things. But at the end of the day, you guys want to know the nitty gritty. You guys want to know the important stuff. And then on top of that, we offer our own analysis of what we think might happen. Some may come true, some may not. And the Seth Rollins situation is a perfect example, not to sit here and brag, but this man, Ango, was the first person to actually bring that up. I do not care what anybody says. I had never heard it up until that day. Me personally, you can come on here and maybe say you did, but I think I know the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely talk about that. Shout out to Robin for the super chat. Toledo Channel actually kicked things off with the super chat, and I almost missed it. So sorry to Toledo Channel. But he says, Jay, no yeeting was good. Jay don't need to do it every time. When the crowd understands your emotion and act to it, it shows his popularity. Dude, yes. I have to be honest, and we will definitely talk about this. What we got from Jey Uso and Gunther last night was exactly what we needed from Jey Uso and Gunther. And just in general, like, it's one thing to be the yeet man, you know, the crowd hype guy. Sure. But the thing that people forget about is how emotional and how good Jey Uso was in the Bloodline storyline, and I was waiting for that to come back. I was waiting to see who they're going to get that. How are they going to get that out of Jey Uso? I felt like last night was a home run for Jey Uso in his promo.
Knocked it out of the park.
100%. Yeah, that we're definitely going to talk about that. But yes, when the crowd understands your emotion, I think that's very.
See, I did have one problem with it.
Let me hear it. Yeah, let me hear.
It's that the crowd didn't understand it. They knew what was happening, but if you heard them, they were all. I talked about it on my live stream last night. Just how. Okay, like there is a time and a place for everything, and this isn't actually on WWE. This is on the crowd, right? This is on the people. It's that they chose to be very loud about the yeeting in a time where it was supposed to be really serious. That's like my only gripe with that situation. It has nothing to do with Jay. It has nothing to do with Gunther. The fans really kind of tried to take control of that situation and turn it into something that was supposed to be fun. When, I mean, you could tell he walked out in all black. He made himself look very serious. So at the end of the day, you understood. If you even looked at his shirt was just a black shirt. There was no yeet on it or anything like that. It was only on the glasses. So they tried to tell you, like, hey, what they are trying to accomplish right now is serious. You know, opening it up with, hey, Gunther, do you have a mom? Stuff like that. So I think my biggest gripe here is that fans just, they try to take control of situations that maybe don't need to be taken control of. I think John Cena maybe said it in one of his promos a couple weeks ago. When I say something in a certain tongue, you say what after. That's very true. And sometimes I love the crowds, don't get me wrong, but can come off as very annoying and almost over the top. Like, no, let this man finish. Let him get to his point. You guys know when to cheer, and you know when is the right time to do it. We're not naive and we're not dumb. Like, come on, let's just be a little bit better.
I'm not saying your point is invalid, but I kind of disagree. But it's only for a different perspective. I kind of looked at it as like maybe they were cheering that way and being that way as more of an encouragement.
Yes, and that's there's always that potential.
I think that was more of like an encouragement thing. That's just kind of the way I looked at it. But I think your point is valid too. I think even looking at Tolino Channel's super chat, it's like both sides. Like I do feel like the crowd understood, and that's why they were really behind him. Right. Which is great. Obviously, you want that in ways. Jey Uso, and we'll talk more about it, but Jey Uso in this more serious approach, I'm going to keep saying it, and we'll get to it to for sure in today's stream. But the point that I will make eventually on the show is that how can you hate on this guy? Like when he cuts that promo, how can you hate on him? Oh, because he's not a good wrestler like Will Ospreay? I don't know. Like that's just kind of a weird thing, but more to talk about. Shout out to Tolino Channel. Keith B dropping $5 in the chat. And I want to see if I could throw that up on the screen. Yes, I could. I got it fixed. Okay, cool. Keith B dropping $5. He says, now that WWE and NXT is working with TNA, would you like to see WWE bring back the bragging rights pay-per-view and have NXT versus TNA bragging rights? No, but the reason for that is because I have been sold on the idea of Worlds Collide. Ever since NXT did it with NXT UK, I want to see... In fact, I would actually go as far as saying if I were WWE, I would have NXT, TNA, AAA, and maybe even GCW. Do a couple, or like maybe even NWA. And what I would like to do is, hey, do one pay-per-view where it's all the companies you're working with. And they can easily make the excuse me, they can easily make it work with TNA. TNA and AAA work together. WWE, you know, when they got Dragon Lee, they had a little bit of a deal with AAA. I think there's something there.
Yep, I remember that. Yep.
The reason why I don't want to see an NXT versus TNA pay-per-view is because I would rather see WWE work with multiple companies. So even like Pro Wrestling Noah, for example, that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. And bold prediction, but I think within the next 5 years, WWE will in fact do something like that.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening.
But if we don't want to wait 5 years for something of that magnitude to happen, then yeah, give us NXT versus TNA.
Worlds Collide. Easy.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Shout out to Keith for the super chat. Justin Kennington dropped a super chat for $4.99. He says, I think Jay versus Gunther at Mania for the world title should be a first blood match. Dude, after last night's promo, I feel like they should have some sort of gimmick.
Stipulation behind it.
Stipulation, yeah. First blood match is not like necessary. Like, it's not necessary 100%, to be honest, because I don't think it's that kind of feud. Actually, that's a lie. It is that feud, especially after
a blood feud.
It's a blood feud. That's a lie. I messed up. But I would say you can literally do any sort of stipulation here. And in fact, being that it's a stipulation, you can always have Jimmy attack Gunther and helping Jay win, and Jay ends up celebrating with his brother. You can do something like that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. They actually, Justin actually mentioned that in my chat last night.
Really? Yeah, it's a very, very solid point, honestly. I think. How do you not do that, right?
Yeah, I feel like it would be weird if you didn't do it, just because I think where we're kind of at with this feud, it is very much like a serious feud. It turned serious as soon as everything happened with Jimmy. And then obviously last night they kind of escalated that even further, because now it's gotten personal on Gunther's side, right? Because as much as Jay talked about himself and his family, there was also a level of him talking about Gunther's family, talking about, do you have a sister or a daughter or whatever the case, right? Like they're making it personal.
Yeah.
I just want to apologize for the noise. They're out there cutting grass.
No, it's okay, man. Shit happens.
Wasn't sure if you guys can hear it or not.
It's starting to agitate me.
No, dude, you got to do it right.
I know.
You're starting to agitate me.
I love it. It's so good. Oh my god, the straight face right there again. Shout out to Justin for a super chat. Great super chat. And yes, I do agree. First blood match, it's not 100% necessary, but it would be good. I think any stipulation would be fine. I don't think it really matters the stipulation as long as there's some sort of stipulation. And what I will throw out there too, just for the purpose of this super chat coming in, if you don't do a first blood match, which I don't remember the last time WWE has done a first blood match, right? So that's why I don't see it as likely. But if you don't do a first blood match, you could do something along the lines of like a no holds barred match where or falls count anywhere, for example. Because a lot of times what people really want to see is Jey Uso do something crazy at this point. Jey Uso, you could take it, outside the ring. Jey Uso can climb onto something, jump off something, do a splash. We've seen Jey Uso in a Hell in a Cell match before.
For sure.
He's very good with that kind of stuff. I would like to see something here. And maybe
it also kind of protects, the people who are all like, oh, yeah, Jake can't wrestle. Well, it kind of protects that, and there being any type of backlash.
This is a match filled with cinema emotions, and you're going to sell and maybe do an I Quit match. I don't know. That's
not a bad idea.
I don't know if you would.
That would be hard because you don't want Gunther to be the one to quit.
Yeah, to be a quitter. But we did talk about Ludwig Kaiser going on to the Raw the following day and be like, oh, you lost to Jay? Now imagine if he said you quit against Jey Uso. Dude,
yeah,
crazy.
Come on. That'd be fire.
That'd be very cool. Shout out to Justin for the super chat.
These guys mowing the lawn are right next to me. How y'all doing today? Come watch the Ango show.
That's a good promotion. You're a good co-host.
Yeah,
dude.
come on. Come on, man.
Phil dropping a $9.99. He says, the emotions felt the last 2 days were definitely polar opposites. As soon as I heard now you owe me a favor, I tagged Ango right away. Jay killed it in his promo, and I'm really looking forward to WrestleMania. I have so much to say about the Seth Rollins thing for sure, and we'll definitely get to that. But it was such a unique way of setting it up. And it was such a great moment for WWE to broadcast that, and Seth Rollins, there's so many people who just want to be so disingenuous and act like this is not a good storyline. But when you have history of 10 years between all three guys, there's something very unique about that. And of course, with Seth and Roman, me and Billy have said this for a while, but I do want eventually for Seth to have a singles match against Roman, Seth to have another singles match with Punk to have another singles match with, to have a singles match with Roman. So I love the fact that you could kind of pivot towards all of these after the triple threat. For sure. But I think Phil mentioned it very well in the super chat. The emotions felt the last 2 days were definitely polar opposites. And I think really what that comes from is you have one company who's not actively listening to their audience, and then you have a company who is actively listening to their audience and doubling down on all the good things. Which we haven't even talked about Io, Bianca, and Rhea, but that segment to kick off Raw was excellent, and this is WWE understanding their vision And that's why there was a polar opposite of a feeling in the last 2 days, I think, for a lot of people. And I think for me, it's like, it goes back to what our good friend Robin said in the chat earlier. He said, you know, like, it wasn't...
Acknowledge Billy?
Well, that part too, yeah, sure. But but I think he made a very good point about it being like, it wasn't the worst, it wasn't the best. It's just a solid episode that pushes the stories forward and gets you a little bit more excited, you know?
For sure.
And Absolutely. the thing that I'm learning about WWE Raw, and more specifically with Triple H too, that I'm absolutely loving right now, is the fact that you're getting your cinema, you're getting your very deep storytelling, you're also getting your really good wrestling matches. You're getting a little bit of everything. And you notice that a lot more on Raw than anything, but I very much love that. So
yeah, no, I mean, overall, I mean, you can just tell, man, you know, like, I mean, Phil kind of just encapsulated it really well. Just the 2 days being polar opposites, with one drawing so much positive emotion that we all, you know, wanted to see, and trying something out of the box. I think I saw Bully Ray maybe talking about it, where he talked about, you know, if Paul screwed Roman, or if Paul screwed Punk to go with Roman, it would be business as usual. Yeah. If he chose to screw Punk, or if he chose to screw Roman to go with Punk, well, you know, you kind of understand it. If you choose to go with Rollins, I think you're making a really big argument and doing something that's never been seen before. And for somebody who's already a made character, like Seth Rollins, you know, he's made, right? Yeah. But me and you have actually discussed it on here numerous times, where I'm a person who believes that he could and kind of need that character change, right? I don't know necessarily how they go about it or how they develop that new character, but he needs something new. And what better way than to put him with Paul Heyman that keeps Paul Heyman relevant? And Roman and Punk do not need Paul whatsoever, in my personal opinion. And truth be told, in some ways, I don't even think Seth Rollins needs him. But I think if anybody can truthfully utilize him right now to his fullest potential, I think it is Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Well, I think you can make the argument, too, and this is the part that maybe a lot of people aren't necessarily discussing, but look at Paul Heyman's relationship with Roman all these years. Even being with Roman, it's always acknowledge me, acknowledge me, acknowledge me. It's never, what about what you did for me? Like, there's a less appreciation factor from Roman to Paul Heyman. Like, he wasn't part of the bloodline. He didn't have that. He wasn't blood, right? And that's something you have to factor in. And when you look at Punk's relationship with Paul Heyman, I think that's so unique too, because if you go back 10 years and you go back at their relationship, it was just friendship. It was just, you know, it's what you would kind of expect. However, when you look at why, like, you see Punk and Roman fighting over Paul Heyman, and Heyman, why would he choose Rollins? It's because he needs a true friend who is not going, like, there's a lot of ways to discuss this, and I want to break it down shortly, but it's like, these guys are kind of distracted about the real intent of having Paul Heyman in their corner and the real reason for having Paul Heyman in their life. And I think Seth Rollins is more of like, I'm not going to treat you like shit. I think there's going to be a more genuine connection between them once the turn happens. But I have even more theories to add to it, and we will get to it. So shout out to Phil for the super chat. Tolino Channel dropped a super chat for 100 rupees. He says, I want Punk to have a kayfabe injury and making his WrestleMania main event in jeopardy. Also, Carlito was a victim of a hit and run by Braun Breaker. You saw that spear, right?
Oh, come on, man.
I want to put this on the record. I genuinely believe with all my heart that Braun Breaker's spear to Carlito is literally the greatest spear that has ever been done in the history of professional wrestling. Far better than Bobby Lashley, far better than Roman Reigns, far better than Goldberg, far better than Ricky Starks, and Edge, Adam Copeland, it doesn't matter, you name it. I genuinely believe when Braun Breaker speared Carlito, that was not only the most impactful spear, it was the most beautiful looking spear, and it was also one of the best camera angles I have ever seen. What a shot by the WWE production team, and I just really want to...
I was going to piggyback off you and talk about the camera angle, and just like people need to know, like, it's, yes, I mean, the way that it was done and everything like that was amazing, and that could easily, I mean, he front flipped doing the spear. So you could say, like, oh, that itself could have made it. It looked like it actually caused damage to somebody. But on top of that, it really was that camera angle, that drone shot coming down the aisleway, running, behind him.
Yeah.
Just amazing, perfectly executed. Oh, my God.
See, the thing is, in a world where people talk about wrestling matters, sometimes it's not even about the moves. I mean, millions of people have done the spear, but it's how that spear came across. And it's also Carlito selling it incredibly well and taking it incredibly well. That, my friends, was the best spear I have ever seen in my lifetime. Better than anybody.
Hands down.
Yeah. As far as Punk having a kayfabe injury, I'm going to disagree. I don't want to see that, only for the simple fact that I don't think it really benefits anybody. I don't think Punk needs the sympathy from anybody. Maybe they could do something, but if they do it, I wouldn't be mad.
No, but I kind of agree with you on that stance of, like, if they do that, like, you're giving sympathy to Punk where it's not necessarily needed. I think after this, I think you kind of help all three of these guys, because I think it's very easy to know that Punk and Roman are going to go on and feud after this, right? Very simple, very easy storytelling. The only person who was going to get left in the dust after this triple threat was Seth Rollins, because they knew they had a direction for Punk and Roman, because we already did Punk and Seth, right? So Seth is the only one that had no direction coming out of this, and here we are. Now Seth finally has some direction of, like, okay, maybe even if he doesn't have a feud yet, or if he's not lined up to face somebody, at the very least, we're getting a character change from him and a character development. And we'll have to wait to get answers from him and Paul. So they kind of got free TV, for a couple of weeks following WrestleMania, where they don't even have to put Seth in a program right away.
Well, and the cool thing about the Seth turn with Paul Heyman, again, there's so much I want to say about it as we get through these super chats. But the one thing I really want to make clear is Roman and Punk are protected. Roman and Punk don't need to show up on TV every week. Rollins is a guy that shows up every single week, and he is always putting in that work. And Rollins is the guy who gets injured and saves Cody Rhodes' WrestleMania main event, working injured, and helps him win the belt. There is a lot of reasons why Rollins should turn heel from a storyline perspective. And from a personal perspective that I have, aren't you guys tired of the flamboyant dresses and the shoes and the boots and, like the whole gimmick? We need a serious Seth Rollins, and that's what even prompted the whole conversation 2 months ago when we talked about Rollins being with Paul Heyman. And it's so funny because at first, and this is the way social media works and stuff, but everybody wants to do this thing where they don't come up with their own opinions or ideas, but they'll tweet it out as if it's their own. And I really don't care. It doesn't offend me, because I know... I think everybody knows where this stuff comes from, and you guys know who's spreading these kind of things. But for me as a content creator, I'm just personally a big fan of the idea that we have a platform that we're building, and it's exciting, and we talk about things, and sometimes they happen. And there's also a good chance that Paul Heyman and Rollins don't walk out together. But I think it's cool that we even explore some creative ideas where people are like, hey, that sounds so realistic that it should happen. And by the way, if it doesn't happen, get ready, because the IWC will melt down. And whose fault is that? Our fault. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't happen, then I guess that's kind of on us, right?
But hey, if you guys are mad about it, then go tell WWE to give us the books, right?
Right, exactly, because we had it pinpointed, picture perfect, baby. Come on,
we cooking on this show, and that's why I'm so proud of us, honestly. And I just want to say, I saw Myra was in the chat, and
thank goodness.
I don't know if Myra was here yesterday watching, but for those who were unaware, and we're not bringing it up anymore because we do got a show to get through, but Myra specifically was somebody who I felt so bad for Friday. Too. For those who don't know, the whole thing that happened with Friday with Billy walking out on the show was literally planned for months and months and months. It was all a work. And we did it. It was funny. We honestly did it to pop ourselves and be funny with ourselves. Me and Billy know each other in real life. It was Billy's idea months ago, and he just never really wanted to do it until this past week where we're kind of teasing like a little bit of agitation between each other, and it happened. And the thing I don't think me and Billy ever anticipated was, one, we would be able to do it with a straight face, and two, we didn't think people would actually believe it. And it turned out everybody believed that me and Billy genuinely hated each other. I personally
felt it with a straight face.
Yeah, and the thing is, I was trying to hide it, and I couldn't do it as well. But then I just kept laughing in your face, so to kind of like
that just made it worse.
And it just made it worse. But I just want to say shout out to Myra because I saw her in the chat, and just so you know, literally when me and Billy got off the air, I was like, bro, I think I like really angered Myra, and Myra's like OG of the channel, and I have a feeling that we may have angered other people, and I just feel really bad. So
we instantly felt bad, just so everybody is aware. We didn't want to, make anybody upset or anything like that. That was never our intention, and that was never like really our goal. We were just, again, we're friends in real life, trying to pop one another, trying to, again, apparently I can make Ango laugh very easily, so I made that happen.
Yeah, and like I said, Billy did a really good job of his acting skills. And then it was funny because, like I said, I saw Myra in the chat, and a lot of people were like, no, this is not even fun to watch. But I think really, like, the whole lesson out of it was me and Billy enjoy talking about wrestling like we do. And that's why we never really... I said it yesterday on the stream, too. It's like me and Billy talk about wrestling so much off camera, which is why I wanted Billy to join the show to begin with. And even when we disagree with each other ever in our live streams, we never argue. It was just like
never like that.
It was like those last two episodes, we were trying to like tease it. And then sure enough, Friday, it was so funny because I was waiting for Billy to do it. And I was trying to say anything at that point. And I don't know. I saw Myra was really upset about it. I saw a few other people were upset about it. So just so you guys know, it was all fake. And the only reason why I'm even apologizing is because our job here is to create the best wrestling talk show, and we genuinely love what we do and we enjoy it, and that's why we do it. And we were trying to pop ourselves, and the point of it too, though, is like me and Billy aren't going to agree on everything, obviously, but it should never, guys, it's wrestling. It should never be that deep. And I think that was the thing where like we were trying to like tell people too, like with wrestling fans, if you're getting that angry with each other and it's causing you to do that, like you should probably take a break because it's just a TV show at the end of the day. And me and Billy have other interests. Me and Billy didn't even know each other for pro wrestling at first. We knew each other because of music. So we had a mutual friend who brought us together so we could make music together. And then it turns out that both of us like wrestling, and well, holy shit, dude. And Billy starts doing a YouTube channel, and then I'm like, bet.
And suddenly here we are. I was doing a music reaction YouTube channel before Ango called me, and before I actually called Ango and was like, yo man, like I think I'm gonna try this wrestling stuff out. I obviously have a big passion for it. Here I am a year later after my YouTube channel started. I'm 5,000 subscribers, so big shout out to that guy. Truth be told, guys, if you want like the real side of it, I really couldn't fight with this guy. This guy has truthfully, in some ways, he doesn't know it, but he's changed my life.
I appreciate you, big dog. So anyways, yeah, shout out to the chat. Shout out to Myra for being here. Hopefully you guys all understand. Never talking about it again. And if it ever does happen again, we're not acting. So at that point, I don't know.
Be scared.
Yeah, at that point, then sure.
Be nervous.
But it's not that deep for us, and that's why I think that's why I genuinely believe that me and you do have the best wrestling talk show, because it's not that deep. We just explore different ideas and have conversation, and sometimes it's really, really good conversation, and sometimes it's not. I don't know, but I feel like our conversations are awesome. And so
I'm over here getting roses on TikTok. My bad to cut you off. Oh my goodness.
I don't even know what that means. So
I don't either. But hey,
is that like super chats or no?
I don't necessarily know what it is. I'm not 100% sure. I think I have a buddy in my YouTube chat that probably knows. So maybe he can give me an explanation. My buddy Nathan, when he pops back up in the chat, hopefully we'll get an explanation from him, and hopefully I'll be able to answer that question here soon. Oh, it's a gift. Phil said it.
Sweet. Shout out to people in Billy's TikTok. We did have more super chats, and Digital Films dropped a $6.99 Canadian dollar. He says, Jay's passion feels real. It even threw Gunther off. WWE nails the emotional connection with fans. AEW has great matches, but WWE makes you feel it. I want to repeat this. So I think in Digital Film said it best. Jay's passion feels real. it even threw Gunther off. WWE nails the emotional connection with fans. AEW has great matches, but WWE makes you feel it. Now, for those who are unaware, Drew McIntyre recently did an interview, and he was basically talking about all that matters is the storytelling. It's more important than the wrestling matches. I have to say, like, it's such a unique situation for WWE because it is widely known that Jey Uso isn't the best in-ring singles professional wrestler. He's always been a great tag team guy, but as a singles guy, maybe he's not there. But when you look at what he's done from an emotional standpoint, being in the bloodline, feuding with Roman at one point, to joining the group, to now feuding with Gunther, there is this emotional side of me that wants him to win at WrestleMania 41. And I think the fact that Gunther, who always underestimates his opponents, when he underestimates his opponents, he ends up losing. But the good thing is, I go back to what I've said for months and months and months that we've laid out. Jey Uso's passion does feel real. And, you know, it feels so real and there's such a connection to it. Man, it's going to really hurt and sting when Sami Zayn, who missed WrestleMania, comes back to see his Uso has won the championship, and Sami Zayn is going to start getting jealous, and eventually they plant the seeds for a heel turn. Sami Zayn will be a world champion because of Jey Uso, and that's your cinema. And we're finally getting these massive, like cinematic storytelling moments in feuds that don't include the bloodline. So how can you be mad at that?
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very true, man. I mean, like you said, kind of piggybacking off of you a little bit here. But yeah, once Jey wins that championship, I mean, you're going to be I think people are going to have a better feeling about when he wins the championship because I think there's so much more story to tell following this match. And the story only comes from, I mean, don't get me wrong, you can continue with Gunther as the champion, but I think the real good story is going to come from, you know, the potential of Jey Uso winning this match. Now, I'm not going to say that this could happen, and maybe I'm going to go off sidetrack a little bit here.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this is going to happen or it even could happen, but I just want to throw it out into the universe just so people don't get disappointed. Because like I said, there is a world where Gunther could still retain that championship.
Yeah.
And if you really wanted to do it and you wanted to jump into things right away, you could have Sami help Gunther win that championship. And you could have him, you know, just start that feud without the championship. But I do believe that the feud between Sami and Jey would be better with the championship.
Yes, I agree. But if you did want to keep the belt on Gunther, if you didn't really want to commit to him,
that would be a way to do it.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Indigital Films for the super chat. Very true. AEW has great matches. WWE makes you feel it. And some people don't care about having the emotional connection to what they're watching, and that's fine. I find it really hard, like, because people will say, well, in sports, you don't have an emotional connection. That's downright false. Like, I watch the Pistons, and they're going to be in the playoffs for the first time since 2018. And we have been watching them historically be bad since 2004. So I'm emotionally connected to my Pistons. When they lose, I feel like I lose. When they win, I feel like a winner. And that's the emotional connection to real sports. So at the end of the day, it just seems like it's inevitable that, you know, you have to produce content that get people invested. And you know, it's cool, the flips and tricks and this and that. Like, I have nothing against it, you know, but you got to make me feel something. I'm not asking for 10 years of cinema. We're lucky that we get it with Punk and Roman,
right.
and
we're
Rollins.
Lucky we're getting it the way that we are.
But you want a reaction out of me. You want me on my feet. Well, I'm going to be on my feet if Jey Uso wins the world championship. This guy was never even looked at, by the way. He was never looked at as the guy that should be a world champion.
He was supposed to be stuck in this tag team with his brother forever.
Yes.
And then they were supposed to have a turn, a split, and then they would go on some type of singles run that eventually would have died out.
Just remember, there was a period where the IWC actually wanted Jey to beat Roman for the Universal Championship.
I remember. Hell in a Cell existed a couple years ago.
Crazy to think about, right?
Very, very.
We had a super chat from Phil. He says the triple threat was very Roman and Punk centric with Heyman's relationship with them both. But now Seth became a huge part. It really is a 33.3% chance that any of them can win. That is 0.1%. That 0.1% is Heyman.
So that's like 33.3 plus 33.3 plus the 1% minus the 7. You like my Steiner math?
Hated it. What? No, I think it's they figured out a way to make the storyline so good based on a thing that happened at Royal Rumble, and that was the thing that we were talking about yesterday. I can't remember who this troll was in the chat, but it was like, oh, this where's the storytelling here? Well, it happened at Royal Rumble, and that was the purpose of how this match got set up. And then what was really unique was they've used factors from the past to help even elevate the storyline. So it was just a quick thing that happened at the Royal Rumble that turned this into a massive match, and shout out to them for making that happen, because when you don't insult your fans' intelligence and you do bring up the fact that like these things did happen in the past and it plays a part into why things are happening now, those callbacks are incredible, and that's huge.
And they mean so much. They really do.
No matter what happens after this match, the chapter doesn't end. A new chapter gets started. And I've been saying this. We said this last year, and now we say it again this year, but that's the beauty of Triple H booking WrestleMania. WrestleMania is not a culmination anymore of a storyline. It's not the end. It's, hey, we're going to keep the story going, and we're going to take a different direction. So shout out to Phil for the super chat, too, by the way. But go ahead, Billy.
No, I was just going to say big shout out to Phil. To answer that, I mean, now adding in Paul Heyman and making this so different and making this more exciting. We talked a little while for, like WrestleMania season not feeling like WrestleMania season. And it just seems like week by week they continue to do things that start to make it. And I'm not saying that, I'm as excited as last year, because obviously, last year was very once in a lifetime, or not once in a lifetime, but you know what I mean? Like once in a long time. It doesn't happen often, right? And we all were like, oh, how are they going to top it? How are they going to the thing is, they don't have to top it. They just need to continue doing what they've been doing and telling the stories that they have, and WWE capitalizing on that situation, that triple threat match that, truth be told, I'm going to be quite honest, as much as I love the idea of it, for even me, it didn't even have a lot of hype, up until we started digging into the actual story. When they announced, when we started discussing it at the Royal Rumble, when everything happened and the potential of that, I was like, oh, okay, like, there is I'm excited for it, but it's not like I'm not all the way there. But as they start to dig deeper into the story, and now, what we see last night, it's so interesting to see, and it's so nice to feel, because, I was, and I think we talked about it, so, that little bit of fatigue that we had there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And just the need to get to WrestleMania season. And finally, we're here, and now it feels important. And this, by the way, people, was a show without John Cena and Cody Rhodes.
Exactly.
Just want to make that clear.
Yeah. Very, very true. Shout out to Phil for the super chat. Keith B dropped a super chat for $5. He says, I would love to see Paul Heyman screw over Roman Reigns. I think we have already seen that.
That's already in the works.
Yeah. I like I said, I've been saying it for months. I want to see him screw over everybody and align with Seth Rollins. So,
yeah, it's something we've been talking about.
Crazy,
very crazy.
Oh, I still have so much more to say about that. Shout out to Keith B for the super chat. Toledo Channel dropping 100 rupees. He says Jade versus Naomi story is fired. Jade's road title was struck by injury. And Naomi was searching for a footing to the title picture. Charlotte and Tiffany is missing something. A little bit harder to dissect that, but it's okay. I think Jade and Naomi's awesome feud. It's a great feud. It's a great storyline. They've done a really good job. I feel like that's a great story to keep watching. I can't wait to see what happens there. My girl was watching with me on SmackDown, and she saw Jade Cargill, and she was very impressed by her look. She's like, she looks like a superhero. Yep. And I mean, that's how you get people hooked in, bro. You know what I mean?
It is. And I just kind of want to, if you don't mind, I'm going to answer the next part, talking about the Charlotte and Tiffany missing something.
Yeah.
Truth be told, I thought that too. I was actually a believer in that. I did think it was missing something until last week when they decided, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And maybe some people will disagree with me on this, but they chose to, or they probably didn't choose to, but they went off script. And then they dug a little deeper, and then they made it more personal. Well, now, no matter how they feel outside of the ring, I mean, truth be told, inside of it, they're going to tell that story now. they're going to push towards that a little bit. I know that I've seen a lot of people on there saying, I've seen the meme of Ludwig. Ludwig was the first person to get accused of cheating, and nobody believed him.
Yeah.
But it's true. I think now you can play into that. So that missing piece, I think, got fixed on Friday.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
Shout out to Tolino Channel for the super chat. Darth Bane dropped $1.99. He says Orton heel turn is inevitable. Make him the third guy. And he is missing from WrestleMania as of right now. We'll see if they announce him. Last night they did confirm El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio for WrestleMania.
Big match, big time match.
So I don't know. Maybe they do keep Randy off of the show, but he is the third guy with The Rock, Travis Scott, and John Cena. And it'll be really nice when John Cena and Randy Orton have to team up at Backlash against Cody and Roman Reigns. And, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm spitballing. But look, it's inevitable. Orton does turn heel. Him missing WrestleMania would suck, but you put him in that moment, that's a massive, massive moment. And by the way, 3 of my favorites of all time were Randy Orton, John Cena, and The Rock. So it would be kind of cool. It's like an alternate universe to watch that unfold.
All 3 of them being together? No, I don't think they'll. I think Randy's going to stand alone on his own. I mean, he's always kind of been like that. He never, even with like Evolution and stuff and him being in groups, like, Randy's just always been that character where it's like, you can have him in a group, and he did the legacy stuff, and it worked. But at the end of the day, like, that dude was just vicious himself.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's still moving and grooving the way that he is, I think Randy's going to be fine. I think he's going to kick Cody's head off.
Imagine WrestleMania. Hold on. Imagine WrestleMania 41 ends with Randy Orton punting Cody's head for John Cena to win number 17. Would you really be against that? The guy is missing from the WrestleMania card.
I would be against it.
You would be.
Yeah, because Randy's right behind John, so why would he do that knowing that Randy wants to break the record too? That doesn't make sense.
I don't think it's an issue of making sense or not making sense. Randy Orton has made Hold on, really quick. I think he has a path. He wants to get the world championship, and there's a path for him to get there. And so for Randy Orton, selling your soul to The Rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying there is a way to spin it where it would make sense as to why he would do it. Now, with that being said, WWE would have to carefully explain why Randy did it, but I wouldn't look at Randy selling his soul to The Rock because he wants to help John Cena. I think he would do it because he knows that beating John Cena, he has that history of beating John Cena for a championship. He knows that he can go after Randy Orton, eventually turning on John Cena. I'm sorry. He knows that he could turn on John Cena and then Randy Orton could win the belt from John Cena because that would be easier than beating Cody. And then eventually Cody's get back would be WrestleMania 42 in Minneapolis or wherever it is, where he then wins from Randy.
So I guess my problem and my issue is you kind of have to weigh out which story is more important. Is the story between Cody more important, or is the story with Cena more important? Because obviously the Cena story is more of a nostalgic thing versus the Cody thing where it's like that's going to play into the long-term storytelling of what we see past John Cena, correct? So you kind of have to weigh out the pros and cons here. So I genuinely think that they're going to hold Randy off. Now, I understand the fantasy booking of this and like how exciting it would be. I genuinely don't think that they need another superstar at the caliber of Randy Orton in that position. I don't. I really, really don't. But at the end of the day, there's obviously so many options that they can do here. In fact, one of them that kind of ran through my mind since we're over here fantasy booking for a second, don't want to get too off track, but the idea of Sami Zayn potentially joining The Rock. And the reason why I say that, I know it's probably very, very far off, but I think the truth behind it is that if they chose to do that, it kind of plays into everything with Jay, right? Him being the world champion. It just depends on how deep The Rock wants to run this.
Okay. It goes along with my theory from 6 months ago. Jey Uso wins the world championship. Sami Zayn turns heel and goes after Jay. However, if that's going to happen, that has to happen on night one. Sami can't go after Cody. Sami has to sell his soul to The Rock. And it's the same reason why The Rock wanted Cody to sell his soul. I want you to be the people's champion. And The Rock is basically setting up Sami Zayn to become the people's champion. Which, by the way, if there's somebody who could deliver great heel work to make this happen, it would be Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn.
When you said Sami at first, I was kind of reluctant to agree. But it just goes to show you, and this is why fantasy booking is fun. There is a lot of options. There is tons and tons of options.
For sure. And there's so many different directions because a lot of these storylines have bled into one another.
Exactly. 100%.
That's just my thought process.
Not bad. I see the vision. It just can't be. Sammy can't do it against Cody. Sammy has to do it against Jay.
No, he would have to do it against Jay. Yeah. I do stand firm on that. He couldn't do it against Cody. It would have to be Jay because of the long-lasting history with Jay himself.
Yeah. Shout out to Darth Bane for the super chat. We have one more super chat to get through, and then I know you have one as well. 2 matches, and El Grande Americano is in the WrestleMania card. Chad worked hard, but no WrestleMania for him. Unfair. He is Gable. No, he's not. Also needs a title for Mexican division. 100 rupee donation by Tolino Channel. Thank you for the super chat. El Grande Americano, man, just something about him. Just he strikes me so much like Chad Gable. It's crazy.
El Grande Americano.
This is very easy to predict, and you guys get a little treat. The match is very simple. Rey Mysterio wins. He gets an awesome singles match win at WrestleMania. Because I doubt...
Pull the mask off.
Well, maybe they do have El Grande Americano win, but the mask is getting cut off, and it's going to be Chad Gable.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be Chad Gable. But regardless of the fact, even if it's under this persona of El Grande Americano, right? Even if it's under this persona, Chad Gable is going to be on WrestleMania, folks.
Very exciting. What a
very,
stud,
very
man.
Exciting.
He's a very, very talented guy. He finally gets that singles match. And, you know, at first I was
rightfully deserved.
Yes, and I think for me and you, like, we know that this guy deserves to get some singles gold. And to have that WrestleMania match against the legendary Rey Mysterio is pretty cool. And the fact is, like, it is a storyline, and when he gets unmasked, it's going to be funny. They're not going to keep this character forever, you know? But if it's a way to get him on the card, bro, I'm all for it. And then he gets unmasked, It's even better. That's going to be a fun little moment.
I love it. I love it.
All right, sir. Shout out to Tolino Channel for the super chat. And go ahead and read your super chat, buddy.
This is from our guy, Robin. I'm pulling this. Boom. I got a small screen here, folks. And I don't have my glasses on. So I can't see.
Sound like an old man.
It's true. Robin says, hello, y'all ever had coffee with strawberries on the side? Not a bad combination. The sweet, exquisite taste from a strawberry to a warm and cozy sip of coffee is nostalgic. Robin, thank you for your $10, brother. I'm not a big coffee fan. Ango, how about you?
It depends. It depends. I like lattes. I like cappuccinos. I like black coffee with no sugar, no cream.
Okay.
I like a little bit of coffee from here and there. Recently, I've been drinking Turkish coffee.
Okay. That's different. I am a big strawberry fan. I do want to put that out there. So I know strawberries are good. I'm not sure how I'd feel about it with coffee, considering I'm not a fan.
When I was in Chicago, we went out to breakfast, and there was a really dope spot. They had strawberry orange juice, like fresh strawberry orange juice.
Yeah.
That was good. And I just kept thinking, man, this would even be better with tequila. So... That might be my drink for the summer because I'm getting tired of drinking whiskey, and I'm tired of drinking bourbon, and I'm tired of drinking Hennessy. So
see, I'm a bourbon guy through and through.
Yeah, I like Woodford Reserve. To be honest, I love Hennessy. Hennessy on the rocks.
Really?
I love cognac. Yeah.
Really?
It's the Albanian.
Yeah, no, I mean, people are. I mean, it's so common. I'm a Jack and Coke, super simple. I like to sip on that, and I'll drink Jack straight sometimes. Even Jim Beam from time to time. Don't hate it, but yeah, they're very much a bourbon whiskey type.
See, the thing is, for the longest time, it was always dark liquor, and I don't like vodka. I think vodka just tastes like shit. But for like my entire life, I never drank tequila. It always made me puke. And then I started drinking Casamigos Blanco, and like just drink it on the rocks, like, or just like flat out, like no mixed drinks. And I don't chase liquor, and tequila. That tequila just goes down so smooth, and it's like a nice drink, So for the summer, like I'm excited because I know that strawberry orange juice with some tequila, it's gonna sound girly as hell, but I don't give a shit. That stuff was
whatever.
It's gonna crack. It's gonna be like crack. So
well, I'll tell you what, Ango. Once we get this show in person, we'll sit down. We'll have some stuff on the rocks. We'll talk about pro wrestling.
It's gonna be cigars and whiskey or bourbon. I love a good old fashioned.
Me too. I love a good old fashioned. I actually had that on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I love old fashions. That's actually, a lot of people don't know this about me. I kind of want to make TikToks on it because I think it'd be cool. But every time I travel or every time I go to a restaurant or like a bar, I always try an old fashioned. I always see who, and to be honest with you, in Michigan it sucks. But a fun little story is when I went to New Orleans and I was doing some stuff with the guys from WWE 2K. One of the gentlemen there took me to a place where they are known for their old fashions. And that started my love for old fashioned. I remember having it. It was like a $30 drink, which is insanely expensive.
Beyond expensive.
That's expensive as fuck for a cocktail. But I had that, and then I go to New York, I go to Chicago, I go to Florida, whatever. I go in Michigan. I've not had one that tasted just like that. So I've always been on the quest to have a good old fashioned. But now it's weird because I don't really drink alcohol anymore. I was never really a big drinker, but
I neither was I, and I drink from time to time. You know, especially on like special occasions. I'll sit down and I'll have a drink, but I'm definitely not a person who's just going out of my way to sit down and actually drink like a bunch.
Yeah, exactly. But now that I actually like tequila and I'm a grown up and I can finally stomach it, I just love tequila.
I can't do tequila.
Yeah,
I can't do it. I'll take a shot of it, you know, again on a special occasion, but if I'm like, you know, say for instance, just at home and I want to just sit down and maybe have a drink because I'll do that from time to time.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a Jack and Coke every time.
Yeah, I don't like Jack Daniels, but everybody has their own like little taste. I don't know. For me, it's like if I'm like, to me a nice summer night is a cigar with a Heineken or an old fashioned.
For sure.
But if I'm gonna like, if I want to be like a little loose and chill, tequila. And you know, last year during WrestleMania and the year before that, I had what did I drink? Oh, just Hennessy on the rocks. I was just chilling. Hennessy on the rocks, chilling at the desk watching WrestleMania.
Big hen dog.
Big what?
Hennessy. I said big hen dog.
Yeah, it's just the Albanian in me.
That's all right.
I don't know
I hate Hennessy.
You know, it's just, I don't know. It's the Albanian in me.
I get it. It's the cognac, dog.
It's at every wedding. It's at every person's house. Or that or raki, which is moonshine. And that is...
Oh, no.
Yeah, that shit is crazy. I can't even talk about it, but...
No.
It's like wild. So...
It's a very wild one.
Yeah,
but wrestling.
Wrestling, yeah. But the thing is, who doesn't enjoy a good cocktail while you're watching wrestling, you know?
Dude, and people can sit here and lie all they want. You enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy it too. You know? Just at the end of the day, it's fun.
Yeah. Really interesting, too. Darth Bane said the Rock's Terramana is a decent tequila. So I've been against tequila my entire life. I never liked it. I never liked the taste of it. Casamigos Blanco was the one that I genuinely enjoy. And I don't drink like an absurd amount or anything like that. I don't like to, but I just, for some reason, it's so it was just so smooth. I don't want to try any other tequila. But hey, maybe I'll do a Terramana review. I don't know.
Like I said. Shout out
to Robin for dropping the super chat on Billy's channel. This led to a really interesting
video. Thank you, Robin. It did. We got way off track.
Yeah, Tolino channel dropped another super chat. He says KO's injury is unfortunate, but adds to the story. KO fought against the culprit system, including Cody, put his body on the line, but the Warrior is wounded. Yeah, hopefully he comes back and ready to go, and he's going to be healthy. And I mean, his injury is very unfortunate. That was a match I was very, very, very much looking forward to, and I was very excited about it. So. It's very unfortunate, but yeah. Shout out to Tolino channel for the super chat. So, two things I want to mention because I do have some big points that I want to get across. But I was just made aware while we were live that a fellow content creator has unfortunately passed away.
I did see that.
By the name of Kevin Castle. And I just wanted to say, just condolences to him and his friends and family. Kevin Castle is like a long-time content creator, podcaster. I mean, he was doing it for a very, very, very long time, and he's part of the Don Tony and Kevin Castle show. We've interacted a little bit on Twitter. I don't really know him like on a personal level, but he is part of our community, and I just wanted to say rest in peace and, prayers and thoughts, friends and family and everybody impacted by it.
Of course.
Maybe if you guys have watched him, you know what he is all about as a creator and you know, just like I said, he's been very, very nice to me based on our interactions. I've never met him or anything like that, but just through social media, had very nice interactions, and he's been very nice to me. And so I'm one of those people. If you're nice to me, I'm nice to you. And we don't know each other, but he reached out at certain times and things like that, and just kind of want to put that out there. So
for sure, man. I did see it. I people need to understand I'm very new to the community. But one thing I will say is I know how large this community is, and I know how important this community is to a lot of people. And he seemed, you know, like this community meant a lot to him, and he seemed to be a very big part of it. So just, you know, sending my own condolences and sending my own prayers and thoughts to the families. And, you know, I seen that he made a big impact on a lot of people that I know. So therefore, that's just, you know, you want to give your well wishes to the family and everything like that. Such a terrible, you know, thing to even have to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So just wanted to take a second for that. I seen somebody had DM'd me about it. I'm not aware of any details, and if there were any, I wouldn't share them. But
right.
Yeah, just kind of want to throw that out there. And again, yeah. We have more to talk about. We're going to take just a quick little break, and we'll be right back. I'm going to talk to you guys about Becky Lynch because I have a theory, and it's a really good one. We'll be back literally 30 seconds, so don't go anywhere. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for waiting about 30 seconds or so. Billy.
Ango.
I have a theory.
What's that?
There has been so much talk about Seth Rollins at WrestleMania becoming a Paul Heyman guy. I know we started that trend. It's very cool. But this is a WrestleMania without Becky Lynch. And
yes,
so we're talking about somebody who needed a very big character change. And the other person that I felt like who needed a very big character change was Becky Lynch. And she's taking a lot of time off. So I'm just curious of what you would think if Becky Lynch were to, and I'm just throwing out this idea out there, because that's what we like to do on our live show. We just throw out ideas and talk about it. But what would your reaction be if Becky Lynch were to actually come out and help Seth Rollins win the triple threat match and align with Paul Heyman as well?
Perfect, because then you have a man and you have a woman, and you have a start of what could potentially be a faction. You just get like a strong tag team, maybe a tag team from like NXT or something, and you come in there and you let them just bombard the division in some way, shape, or form. That being all divisions, whether that be with the World Heavyweight Championship, the Women's World Championship, doesn't matter. Regardless of the fact, you let them just come in there and you let them bombard it kind of the same way. You can kind of just repeat what the bloodline was, right? And you have Paul Heyman be a part of it. So I actually don't hate that at all. But I also understand if they don't choose to go that route. But I think regardless of the fact, Becky Lynch is very much in need of a change when she does return. And I think that would be the perfect way to make a change. Very good take, Ango. I like your takes.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah, no, I'm just kind of throwing it out there because I do think it's a very interesting situation that's not being talked about. Is there's people that have gone stale. Becky has gone away from TV, and I don't want to see her come back as the good old-fashioned, very nice, very pretty Becky Lynch. I want to see her come back with a little bit of grit, a little bit of attitude, and I'm very much in the idea of let's start a new faction. And if Paul Heyman had a new faction with Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, you throw Braun Breaker in there, and somebody else, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
No, I wouldn't either. I truth be told, would not be mad at it. I see a lot of people talking about the Messiah character come back, and one thing I want to just I know we have a super chat, but beforehand, I want to say, I see a lot of people talking about like, oh, we're going to see the return of the Messiah. One thing I've noticed about WWE, especially in this new regime, is they'll call back at certain things, but they don't actually delve back into things that exist in the past.
Yeah.
So as much as that is true, I actually think we're going to see a full different type of character from Seth Rollins rather than the Messiah. I think he'll have Messiah tendencies just the way he does now.
Yeah.
I think he'll have these tendencies as he is now, the crazy goofy character, almost like the Joker. I think you're going to see all of those kind of delved into one, and you're going to get, I think, if you have him go with Paul Heyman, I think you are going to get the leader, the guy, Seth Rollins.
Yeah, we need a shakeup for Seth, and I think anybody who's acting like we don't is just lying. They're just lying.
For sure,
because the Seth Rollins thing is he has gotten stale, and in the past year we have seen him evolve, but he still has those tendencies that he had before. So now that Paul Heyman owes Seth Rollins a favor, it's a little bit different, and I do think that it would be a really, really good idea.
Absolutely,
I do. I think it would be fun. I'm not saying. And by the way, we haven't had a Paul Heyman girl. There was rumors that it was going to be Ronda Rousey. So,
this would be a very, very, and Becky Lynch would be the person to do it. If anybody makes sense, it's Becky. Considering the history of Becky and how we know Becky and how great she is, she would fit so well. And what's even crazier is, as much as I want to say, like, these two people do not need mouthpieces at all.
Yeah.
CM Punk didn't need a mouthpiece either. So it can work.
Yeah. And you throw in somebody like Braun Breaker or something, then eventually Braun Breaker feuds with Seth Rollins, and oh my God, Paul Heyman then manages Braun Breaker. Like, there's a lot of things.
Oh my God, you're helping the future of the company, and you're putting effort into your future. Can you believe that, Ango?
That would be a terrible idea.
God forbid somebody puts effort into their future.
Oh, it's there, man. You saw that spear last night. They struck. That fatal 4-way match at WrestleMania is going to be so fun. It's going to be so underrated.
It's going to be even better when Dom wins.
I swear to God, bro, my pick is either Dom or Penta, but I would love for Dom to win.
We're doing a prediction show, people.
Not right now. Not right now.
Not right now, obviously. But we're doing a prediction show. We're going to talk about them then.
Yeah. Adam Myron dropped a $5 super chat. He says, "Hey, Ango, I got a thought for WrestleMania. Why can't they put something on the line for Roman versus Punk versus Rollins, like the winner faces the champion after WrestleMania?" This is a great question. Honestly, it is a great question. I don't think it's a bad thing that they don't have some sort of stipulation or, However, what I will say is this. Does the match really need it? Now, I genuinely...
No, because they've already got it.
Exactly. I feel like they already have a story being told that is a far larger
stipulation's already there.
Yes. However,
who's walking with Paul?
Yeah, they're not going to advertise that, obviously. That would be dumb. No. But what I would say is this. I think whoever does win this match should be the next one to step up for a championship.
Yes, because I actually think that's going to be the realm that they go into. I think it'll be Seth. I think Seth will kind of waltz his way back into, again, we talked about, they don't have to bring Sammy back right away. You kind of have him go right into the championship picture with, you could do either Cody or Jay, but truth be told, I think Jay is going to be the big baby face coming out of this, and maybe you have him go that route. I don't know. It's going to be difficult to tell. And it's going to be difficult to range, too.
Yeah, I think it doesn't need it, but if they did it, if they came up with something, that's fine. Personally speaking, though, I think the storyline is already so good, you don't really have to.
Yeah, it's true.
Shout out to Adam for the super chat. We got another super chat from our boy Phil. Phil dropped $4.99. He says, Orton versus Aldis. Big Bill Phil. He says, Orton versus Aldis at WrestleMania 41. Not the first time he RKO'd Aldis. Orton gave him $100K for the fine when it was $50K and said that's for the next one. We'll see.
Yeah, I talked about that in my SmackDown live stream.
We kind of brought it up yesterday, too, really quick. We were saying because Nick Aldis hasn't wrestled for WWE and he's a longtime veteran of the business, it would be a nice, hey, you're doing a great job as a producer, you're doing a great job as a GM, we'll give you a WrestleMania match.
Well, look at what AEW and because they do tend to do a good job at this. But look at what they did for Nigel McGuinness, right?
Yes, yeah.
You can kind of do the same thing here with Nick Aldis and kind of give him that really awesome moment that he so rightfully deserves, by the way.
And what's really cool about it is Nick Aldis could be a GM, and he could go back to being a GM after. You can actually even have him be more of a heelish GM after losing. When the talent disrespects him, you could see some attitude changes. Yep. I hate the idea of Orton missing WrestleMania. He should wrestle Nick Aldis at WrestleMania.
Because the story's already there. The story's already there.
And just like Phil mentioned, Orton gave him the $100K. Yeah, it doesn't have this huge backing of a storyline, but there's elements to it where you tie it in from the past and the callbacks. And ultimately, he hit the RKO on him, and hey, Kevin Owens got hurt.
And one thing that you can even, because here's the thing, we've seen how fast Randy can sell a match, right? We've seen that one promo that he cut backstage just a couple weeks ago with Kevin Owens. So you know how fast he can sell a match. And it's as simple as talking about the comparisons that the two have always had. Coming from two different places, they have always been compared to one another. It has always been a comparison with Nick Aldis and Randy Orton. Tell me I'm lying.
No. Definitely no lie.
It's super simple to sell the match that way. That's how you do it.
And dude, it would just be fun. It's a singles match. It doesn't need to be a long match. It doesn't need to be one of those.
And not every match has to be this glorious, magnificent thing. And I think that's where people misconstrued what pro wrestling is. As long as it has something that people can get behind, you can do it, right? I don't need magnificent every single time. I'm not expecting you to hit it out of the park every time. Just make it entertaining for me.
And also one thing you could factor in, Billy, which would be interesting is, let's say Jey Uso, and we're just being hypothetical here. Let's say Jey Uso and Gunther win. They go first, night one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The second match is always the match that's like the cool down match. And this card is pretty stacked. And
maybe they don't have a cool down spot.
They don't really have a match that's a cooldown match. Every match is... Chad Gable... El Grande Americano versus Rey will be a fun match. We're expecting a multi-man tag team match for the championships from SmackDown. Every match is going to be a qualified match. Maybe Orton and Nick Aldis go into the second match slot. And the cool thing is, because it's Nick Aldis, this is not a bathroom break. People are going to be like, oh, I want to watch this. So I think I think it's like a unique strategy. And you get Randy Orton on a card. It's WrestleMania.
Boom. There you go. Simple, straightforward, straight to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't hate it.
I like it. Shout out to Phil for the super chat. Are you all caught up on your super chats?
Yes, I believe I am good over on my end.
Do you want to check your TikTok too as well, just to be sure?
I am off TikTok Live. I jumped off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen.
Shout out to everybody who came from TikTok, though, because I did have some people join over in my chat from TikTok. Shout out to you.
Shout out to the TikTokers. Shout out to everybody that came through today. What a fun discussion. What a fun live stream. If you guys haven't slapped that like button, go ahead. 80,000 people have clicked that subscribe button. We're working to get 100,000. It's like, imagine this, man. Imagine you walk into Wembley Stadium in front of 80,000 fans and you just started talking about wrestling. It's kind of what it's like.
It's insane, man. It's insane.
So shout out to everybody for that. And make sure you subscribe to Billy. Billy's a G. And, he's killing it right now. He's got the TikTok thing going. He's got the YouTube thing going. He's doing the watch-alongs. Will you be live tonight for NXT?
I will be live tonight for NXT at 8 p.m. So if you guys want to join, like Ango said, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm on the road to 10,000 subscribers. So I'm working, man. I'm working hard.
Let's get it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the Ango Show today. More videos, more TikToks, more streams, more everything on the way. Go ahead and click subscribe, click like. It costs you nothing to click like, and it costs you nothing to subscribe. Shout out to Keith B for upgrading his membership. Shout out to Phil and Adam and Tolino Channel and Darth Bane and absolutely every single person that dropped a super chat today in digital films. Shout out to Justin Kennington. Shout out to Robin Plays Games. Shout out to everybody. We appreciate you guys. What a fun stream. We'll be back tomorrow, 12 p.m. And... Oh, tomorrow should be a good one because NXT looks to be insane tonight.
We're getting Dark State for the first time in a match tonight.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show. Subscribe to Billy at BillyTKO. Subscribe to me at Ango. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.